and bing bongs left, right and centre. It is Marie here from Skeinz. Welcome to the Skeinz Diary. Episode 20-something. I can't quite remember. I only typed it out a few minutes ago and I've forgotten already. See, this is what's going to happen. I hope this is not a sign of COVID-level things to come where I start losing all sense of date or time, which, as we well know, has happened to me before. But I thought I would keep our regular Thursday date because there was so much that I forgot to let you know about yesterday. Good morning, everybody. So I thought I would do that. And yeah, it was just sort of a bit kind of surreal yesterday, I think, for everybody. Certainly was for me. The store here was insane. They're going on about panic buying toilet paper. Well, I can tell you right now, there was not panic buying per se, but what I would call strategic planning in the store yesterday of just in case. And, lots of people wanting to make sure they've got yarn in case things go downhill across the weekend. So it was quite full on. And then, of course, we had all the Cascade arrive. And as Heather was madly trying to get the Cascade out and up into the shop. And it was pretty cray-cray around here yesterday. But the good news is we've been having a real neat, and I've gone and left it sitting on the printer. Never mind. Really neat play around with those yarns. So, of course, these yarns literally just arrived. I did a wee unboxing video. They turned up about half an hour before I went live yesterday. So we barely had a chance to have a good look, see what was there, and have a good play around. So the first thing I need to do is make an apology. I stuffed up on the pricing yesterday. Everything is $12.95 because it's nice and simple. I did get the price on the Cascade wrong, so I'm really sorry about that. But everything is $12.95. And there's way more Cascade colours than we realised, which was awesome. There was also more Melelia colours than what I showed you yesterday as well. They are all up and live on the website. I have been playing around today with Roslyn. This is the grape, because this, I have to admit, has really intrigued me. And it's intrigued me for a number of reasons. One, because this is the yarn here. Can you see that? Ooh, there we go. And to me, it just sort of felt a bit thin, and I had this with the Melelia as well. And it's said here because it's a 350 metre ball, which is when you break that back in half, is a 175 meters, which is, from a count perspective, from a spinning count perspective, is a sort of full price ball weight. And yet it had a tension of 22 stitches per ball, and they were saying DK on a 4mm needle. So I wanted to check to see whether or not that was tish tosh or not, and whether or not I could believe the Americans. So that's what I've been doing this morning. She leans down and Claire, bless her. So this is what I was doing this morning. Is I was look at that, the world's smallest swatch and the world's biggest blocking board. We swatched it, and I haven't counted it, but I have to say two things I discovered with this yarn. One, it was actually a surprisingly pleasant thing to knit. It's really weird because this is a 100-gram ball and this is a really tight, nuggety ball. It sort of doesn't feel particularly soft or squishy when you touch it because the ball's quite compact. When I centre pulled, and when I started unraveling and started knitting with it, I was like, oh, actually, this is quite nice. And the softness, it's what have we got? 65 wool and 35 silk. It's a woolen spun, so it is quite rustic in its construction, but it is definitely soft enough to wear against your skin. Like no problems at all, if you were wondering about that. And I have to admit, in the swatch, we're just hanging out for this to dry, but on a 4mm needle, I can quite confidently say, yes, they haven't pulled the wool over your eyes. Excuse the pun. I will be honest with you, though, I wouldn't necessarily go beyond that. I think 4 is great. I actually personally believe it's happy place. I know I haven't complete done with it. I think its happy place will actually probably be more on a 3.75 millimeter needle. So to that end, gold wing, which I've just completed, this could be a really nice option if you were wanting to do gold wing. We do, if you are somebody who is not afraid of color, you could go with this because we do have like a really vibrant green and a vibrant orange with like this grape or the purple, or there's a beautiful lagoon color that you could do a gold wing in, which would be like, whoa. But you could also play around with this, like in terms of its texture and its thickness. And it is softer than, but you could actually use, I think, Southlander Sport, particularly if you did the contrast at the top in Southlander Sport and then use this for your main colour, which will give this beautiful tweed effect. And I've gone and found a pattern, which hopefully if I can get Kirsty's eye, I'll get her to bring it over because it's sitting on the printer, a Heidi Kittermeyer pattern, and its name is just gone from my mention. It'll come to me in a minute. Daydream, there you go. Daydream by Heidi Kittermeyer. If one of my wonderful people in there can look that up for me and pop that in. That, I searched that up this morning. Loved it for two reasons. One, it was knitted. She had it knitted on a 22 stitch section using actually a 3.75 millimeter needle. What I loved about it was that the yarn she had pictured with her image wasn't quite a textured looking yarn. It looked amazing. It is the world's simplest, beautiful, simple, classic styled sweater. And so often people ask us for that. I just want really something really straightforward and really simple. I've done the Essential Raglan before by Dando, Yumiko Alexander, and I absolutely love it. And the other one that I've gone and done is Oatmeal by Oatmeal by Libby Johnson. Now, Oatmeal would actually work in this as well, I think, too. Beautiful. But this Daydream was just really, really sweet. It didn't have a lot of extra stuff to it. It had the asymmetrical back, which I just love. Yeah, so it was great. Really, really good. So if we can get that link up, that would be awesome. The other thing I'm playing around with at the moment, and I've barely just started, is this. This is a mohair that is coming soon, very soon. I know I've been talking about this mohair for a while. It's actually the first format of this. It hasn't quite brushed out it hasn't quite done what we wanted it to do. So we are actually modifying it. But that's okay, because that other one is still coming. But the current batch is going to also be coming in, and I've just started double stranding it on 6 millimeter needle. And this pink, this is the softer shell pink. That color is actually a happening color, and I'm double stranding it back here. So I'll actually take a picky of that once I've finished it, because for those who have been looking for love note alternatives, I actually think that this is a good love note alternative in the double stranded format. So that Roslyn, as I mentioned, is a 100 gram ball, $12.95. Great value. What else did I have to tell you about today? Oh, right. I have remembered. You missed the funniest thing before. A girlfriend of mine just popped in. She didn't realize she knew she didn't. She's not a nutter, so she's not aware that this is the time of day I do this. And I just thought, poke her head round, make the world's funniest face in the glass, and then sort off again. Tart. That's what happens when you have friends that don't knit. Okay. Damien's jumper. I thought I better show you this because Damien really wants to take it home. I am really delighted. So I showed you the fold line that we had the other day from where I actually picked those stitches up. Ta-da! As you can see, that is what I've gone and done. I've just gone and put a simple cross hatching. So what I've gone and done, so that is my pickup line there. And if I turn it inside out, you will see it more clearly. There you go. Can you see that? So that's where I picked the stitches up from the bottom of the sweater. I used a 3.25 millimeter needle, which is how it was written in the pattern. And as I very quickly suspected as I started knitting this, either the original knitter and I have wildly different tensions, or she's actually used a 4 millimeter needle. But you know what? It didn't really matter because I was extending it, which has meant, and I have got an image of him wearing this. It actually has given him a better fit. It's given him a slimmer fit through the hips, which is perfect for him. I've just gone and used a little bit of Nomad that I had in my stash, and just sort of gone and popped this nice little colour pop at the bottom. I've gone and done an applique, little bit of just cross hatching, and I've only just done it across those raised ribs. On that pickup line, which then, of course, is sort of pretty invisible now because the ribbing portions you just don't see. And to help pull it all together, I had enough that I've just gone and done a little bit of blanket stitch here. This is the fold over portion here. He hasn't got his buttons yet. I've got a funny feeling he's going to buy the buttons and I'm going to have to be the one that will sew them on. But it just helps tie the whole thing together. I mean, you could, if you wanted to, add a bit of blanket stitch here at the end, but I don't think so. I think that that's enough. But it now fits him and it looks fantastic, and he's gone from having a sweater that he couldn't wear at all to something that he could now wear. So if you are finding yourself in that situation at home, or sometimes too, you can pop to the charity shops, the op shops, and you can pick up, I often find hand knits in there that are absolutely beautiful, but the fit just isn't quite right. And if you strike this and you find it's absolutely gorgeous, but it needs a bit of extra length, that's actually a really cool technique that you can do. And even if you're just applying 2 different colors, you can, by creating a feature of it and doing that, it then actually looks like it was meant to happen. And it's, it is definitely something that is quite fun to do, and you can make sure that you create something quite wearable. In my case, I know that I've done this technique before, particularly having children. I mean, I've got teenagers now, teenage boys, and we all know what teenage boys do. They just, they never stop growing. I mean, mine are at the age now that seriously, there's 2 things that can happen. One, they don't stop growing, and B, I can't keep them fed. It's just crazy. I know those who have had teenage boys will completely relate to this. So I've got one in particular that I've had to add length on some of his projects too. Right, what else have I got to show you? Okay, oopsie. Right, I also managed to get a bit more time on my Ninil Chick yesterday by Caitlin Hunter. For those who haven't seen it, oopsie daisies, that's there. And I'm pleased to report I'm happy with the way that I've allocated out my colour selection. I think the other day I was mentioning I was quite confident in my logic, but not necessarily confident in the order that I'd allocated the colours out at, but now I'm completely confident, because the nice thing, so there's 2 things that I can tell you about this. The first thing is that you're only ever working 2 colours at a time this entire swatch show, except for one round where you work 3, which is a good thing. So it's 2 colours is peas and weeds, really, really simple. And I have now done 3 colours. So I'm starting, you can see the 3 colours there, and I'm really happy at how they're working together. And now if you're looking at that going, okay, Marie, have you had your 1970s, Sex Pistols Sid Vicious moment with all of those stitch markers? No, I haven't. I like to measure out. There's the repeats, the colour repeats. Now in this case it's only 6 stitches. It does actually extend out, I think, to 8 and 10 by the time you get to the end of the sponcho. But I like to do this because it just then means that in between those markers I'm doing very, very simple repeats of what the colour is. And if, heaven forbid, you happen to put it down, or you get distracted, or something happens with your colour work, it's a lot easier to keep track of it within little bites than what it is going through going, oh gosh, I'm not, when I get to the end of the round and the colours aren't matching up and it doesn't look right and what have you. It just helps you keep track of your colours. To be fair, this isn't challenging colour work, it is geometric shapes. So to be honest, if you've not done colour work before and you're really, really nervous, this is actually a really great starter. From a colour work perspective, it's actually simpler in its construction and colour work than what Goldwing was, because it is, as I said, very, very simple geometric shapes. And there's a lot of repetition within the colour work going across that. So don't, if you're thinking, oh, that's a little bit too difficult for me, trust me, it's not. It's a really great little starter pattern. It's another really nice one too, if you are only just getting used to knitting in the round. It's a little bit firmish here up top. And I'll tell you what I do is I always do my first two rows. I actually always knit the first 2 rows straight, and you can kind of see why I've done that because my tension changes slightly. I always knit the first 2 rows straight, and then I join in the round after that. I find it much easier. By the way, that does block down and you don't see it. And I just find with a circumference like that so much easier. That's easily magic loopable. And then by the time you get to that first run of increasing, which is not very far in, you're only actually having to magic loop for a very short period of time. She does a little bit of short row shaping in the back, and then as you can see, I'm just working fully in the round in a standard 80 centimetre needle. So it is actually quite a nice one if you are fairly new to in the round knitting as well. So that is going really well. I have to say, after having done my 2 last full-blown projects in Southlander, which you all know I adore, doing knitting with sock petitions like knitting with a cloud, it is so much softer than Southlander, which is more rustic. So I'm loving that. It's so much fun. So that's tracking along quite nicely. So I'm hoping to get a bit more of that done over the weekend. Knowing me, I will. I've got so many swatches that I've got to knit that I'll probably end up having to do those, but really, really, really enjoying that, which is great. Now, hold on, oh dear. How is everyone today? Oh, there we go. Bev. So Bev, isn't that funny? So Bev has said Wave Crest is there in blue. Now, Bev, bless you. Isn't that funny? Claire and I were having the Wave Crest conversation not more than an hour ago. We were looking at patterns of Libby's of what would work with these yarns, and there is actually a whole heap. Wave Crest was one of them, and in fact we have got that beautiful Lagoon blue, which would look incredible. And then you would just need to probably find, if you didn't want one of the contrasts that we've got there, just another contrast potentially in stash to be able to do that. I've been playing around also this morning with, there was another one, Nuala, that Libby had also too, we thought would work really, really well with the Malelia. That fits with that tension. Gingerbread, I think, would look fantastic in the Roslyn, and the olive in the Roslyn is very similar to the olive shade that Libby has in Gingerbread. Now, I have to tell you that olive, it was probably the one that we received the least amount in, but it has gone bonkers. It's the one that you guys all seem to really love. So much of that has already been picked up, and we have gone through over half the stock in less than 24 hours. So if you really like the Roslyn olive, you definitely might want to pick up what you need for that. 350 meters per ball too. So I haven't got the card on me, but in terms of what's required for a pattern, so you're looking at 350 meters you're probably only looking at 3-4 balls of the Roslins to complete a adult project, which is incredibly, incredibly good value. The other thing I've been playing around with this morning, and again, sorry I'm so not as prepared as I'd like. I had all these things I was going to show you. But I've had customers in the shop that I've been chatting to, and I just didn't get to get them. However, I have been playing around with the cascades, and I have been putting together some pattern combinations, which I will bring you next week to help give you some ideas. The cascade is fantastic. I mean, they've called it Cascade Sport. It's an American sport. It's at the heavier end of American sport, and actually looking at the meterage, it's actually what we would consider a fine DK. It's actually knit to a baby DK weight. It is so soft. Oh my Lord, it's so soft. It's absolutely beautiful. The one pattern that I will definitely tell you about that you should check out, and it's one from back in the day. I just know that when I first started knitting in the round, it was one of the very first patterns. In fact, I think it might have been the very first pattern I knitted, the first or second pattern I knitted in the round, and it's now called Lily by Tiki Knits, Georgie Nicholson. And it's a beautiful little crossover top, then with this lovely flared swing skirt. And she wrote the pattern and initially designed it for beautiful, vibrant print yarns, and which is exactly what these are. And she has a couple of contrasted bands. Now, to be honest, the amount of contrast that you require is tiny. So if you've got a little bit of DK lurking around at home, don't have a look at what you've got and then just purchase a print that you think will work. If you're looking for a contrast from our stable that has the same handle and feel and everything to the Cascade, the closest comparison is definitely Orb DK. I pulled them together. Orb DK is ever so slightly heavier, but it is so minute that when you're working it in the contrast of the sleeve bands, the tiny little bit on the neck band and through the waistband, it's not going to affect your patterning whatsoever. So if you need to get a ball of something, hopefully next week, I will be able to take some of those hanks of Cascade and then give you some contrast ideas with you. A couple of there, though, there's a number of them that contain a black and a number of them that contain a white in there. So those are already two fantastic options. And there's also a few others that have just come back. No, where is it? I'm just leaning over so I can see it. No, gone, can't say it. But we also have, again, just looking at the Albertine, there's a couple of other Albertine colours that might be able to work too. But I find the Orb DK seems to be the closest match. It really does look great. So if you're looking for that. What else did I have today? I'm so not organised. Not as organised as I would like. Two things. Firstly, an apology from Claire. So she got me to talk about the sweater stones yesterday, and then she promptly forgot to load them up. So for those that emailed her, she says sorry, they're up now. So sorry about that. They're definitely back. Oh, Bronwyn did jump in saying too, the Cascade 220 reminds me of the Zara DK, seems to have similar specs. Yes, Bronwyn, you're exactly right. And in fact, our Orb DK and the Zara DK are almost identical. So for those that bought Zara DK from us, 2 epic sales ago? We had a whole heap, 2-3 epic sales ago. If you've got some of that lurking around in the old stashy Rooney, absolutely perfect. So that is a really great idea. Restocks. I didn't do the restocks yesterday because Damien was at the mill, wasn't he, when I was on yesterday. So a lot of these are things some of these are things that we'd already received the first lot of, but we've got the balance in. But the good news is Mahana. Mahana now is at full complement. I'm very excited about this because a lot of people have been waiting for Mahana. So Kakabeak was the last colour we were waiting for. That is now back. And we've also got more Care and Mohua as well. So they're both there. Cozy and Orange and Yellow is coming. And we also know that there's more Cozy and Snug on the way. So don't worry about that. Mist DK came back in yesterday, but we had a massive order overnight. So hopefully there's still some there. Black Pearl. We did have some Black Pearl that we were waiting to get dyed up. It's the last of the spin batch because Black Pearl is a limited edition. We only spin it generally once a year, once every 2. It was the first time we've done Black Pearl, but Pearl is something we don't do all the time. So we've gotten Morea back, which I'm really thrilled about. That's a really beautiful green, deep, rich green. Barbosa is back, which was super popular. That was the sort of black, sort of flinty charcoaly colour. Awesome. And Utataki, which is the dark blue, which I did a scarf actually for my son in. Totally gorgeous. And Black Pearl, Hello Tourist, which is a pattern, which is a bright yellow, absolutely gorgeous, which I knitted in regular pearl in Tiare and Gardenia. Black Pearl is so good for that. So if you were wanting to do that Hello Tourist in something that is just wrap around and gorgeous, we've still got, is it not Siren, it's called Pirate Bay, I think, which is the dark red. So we've still got the dark red now that we've got the Barbosa. So if you, dare I say it, is something like a Crusaders fan, or you've got school colours that are red and black, you can do one in that if you're wanting that combination. But we've also, with the Utataki and the Maria, those two together in Hello Tourist would be just divine. And remember, if there's a colour you like across in pearl, you can just bring it across into Black Pearl and they will work beautifully together, particularly if you're wanting that contrast stripe. So don't be afraid to do that. And also don't be afraid to potentially use Orb DK as well. Both spun to the same count. They do feel slightly, the pearl does feel a little bit more bouncy than the Orb DK, and that's because it doesn't use shrink treated fibre. But either way, you'll get the same tension. Tickety boo, no problem whatsoever. I'm sure there was one more. No, right, that's it on that. Let's check my list there. No, I'm going to talk about all of those next week so we can have stuff to talk about then. Just to remember, hopefully by tomorrow, we've got the briefing today at 1 o'clock. By tomorrow, I really do hope things will be good for Auckland, but it's not, the signs are not pointing to be that you'll potentially be out of level 3 anytime soon. Don't worry, we are still able to operate our retail, our online store in level 3. Currently here in Hawke's Bay, we are level 2, so our retail store is not affected at this stage. And we've got oodles of room in our retail store, so you've got no problem whatsoever being able to be in store and browse socially distanced. That's no trouble whatsoever. And that also does remind me that I was going to make the big announcement about what was going to happen at the end of the month. Well, I can't really do that now, can I? Because I kind of need to see what's going to be happening with the COVID levels. So if we are still at level 2 by the end of the month, things will mostly go ahead. However, it's very dependent. Well, it's not dependent actually, but I have a number of people coming from Auckland for this. So I need to see what's going on with the mix with the people that have to travel and whether they're able to travel, if they can't travel, the other ones that I've got from other places, and all of those sorts of things. So just pop in your diary Saturday the 29th. If everything is all locked down and super crazy and we can't get anywhere, we'll do something online that day anyway, as it's just us. I'll think of something, but do actually pop that day down in your diary and we'll see what we can do. But once we know what's going on with the COVID levels, we'll just make it up as we go along. We'll just make it up as we go along. With any luck, Deb and Ethan will still be able to travel, and those who had plans will be able to travel. But it's all right. Don't panic. There's more than one way that we can do something and celebrate. I'm quite confident of this. I'm going to head off now because I need to get organised and ready. I'm actually working a half day today, so it's work yesterday, and I need to go and collect my mum off the bus very, very shortly. I probably will not join you tomorrow, so I'm not going to do daily level 3s, but I will, if things do tighten up a little bit, I will look at doing more regular quarantine diaries again for you guys to keep you informed and just provide a little bit of light marine entertainment, or the best that I can. And as I said, I'm picking my mum off the bus so I can actually pick her brains for some more recipes. So until then, have a great day. Good luck to you guys in Auckland. I hope things will be okay for you. I really, really do. And stay safe, stay relaxed, stitch on, pop your feet up, make a cup of tea, have a bicky, just breathe. Until then, I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.